Hello everyone. Welcome to another edition of PC Quest Tech Talk. Today we have with us Dr. Aloknath Dey, Corporate Vice President and Chief Technology Officer of Samsung R&D Institute India in Bangalore. Welcome, Dr. Aloknath.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Sunil, for inviting.
Yeah. So I think I'll get straight to it and I'll start asking the questions. So, one of the biggest, hottest topics of the future is IoT devices or the Internet of Things. Now, a lot of common people are still not aware of these IoT devices. So years back, we had more IoT devices than people, and the number of IoT devices are mushrooming. Like I had read one survey which talked of 500 billion devices by 2030, and in the 2030s, the number will cross 1 trillion. That is truly a mind-boggling figure. So can you speak a bit about this massive IoT device ecosystem?
Yeah, it's great to see in the world, there are so many IoT enthusiasts and optimists, they take it to 1 trillion devices. That's a lot of devices to get connected. But, just to be grounded in today's world, and there are many such reports that talks about this number of devices that are getting connected. I'll take a very recent one, a week-old Statista's report, which talks about 21.5 billion connected devices in the world currently. And 60% of them typically are active devices, meaning people are using very regularly. And we are projected about a growth rate of 9% to go. So if we go that way, possibly in 2025, we'll have a 75 billion devices, maybe 30 billion would be active. So that's a kind of scale. But, as things unfold in the first period, it goes steadily. But if the systems are proven to be working, if security issues are not a big concern, if the sensors are, cost effective, if we are able to have more and more applications and business value is kind of clearly derived, then in that sense, that kind of growth, the growth curve would change and we could have a great number of devices connected. Now, what are these devices? Typically, even before IoT, mobile and PC are connected and many other devices in point to point, they are talking, right? But in IoT context, we talk about all kinds of non-conventional, not heavy usage, such PCs and mobiles, even they getting connected, right? And I see that in consumer segment, I see that in enterprise segment, I see that in industrial segments, and there are specific devices for those segments. For example, if I take consumer electronics and a home kind of environment, obviously I call it elephant style of devices, which is like your big ones, the TV and the fridge that sits somewhere and serves it. And then the second class, I call it, the horse class that trots along with you. Typically your smartphone, the watch, maybe earbuds. These are the kind of devices that is mobile and goes along with you. And then there are smaller devices, sticking to the doors, sticking to the windows, curtains, and they are just very, very small rodent class, and they keep transmitting information in a significant way for other purposes and get controlled by bigger devices. So these are the kind of devices that you can think of. I give an example of consumer segment, but you could think it of in the enterprise context and industrial context. And the whole IoT context is about connecting such devices and making sense when certain conditions happen. Can you automate certain things so that I get a seamlessness, I get a efficiency, I get an improving, the performance of the system. So there are many business drivers which gets then fulfilled. So that's the story of IoT in a nutshell.
Yeah, so I particularly like your description as elephant class and rodent class. So that explains the wide range of IoT
Thank you.
devices that are there.
The elephant, horse, and the rodent. These three classes.
Elephant,
yes.
horse, and rodent. Right. So that's a good way of classifying and
Good
making sense of. Yeah. And so I mean, like, even though I talked of 1 trillion and that, but even if talking of 20 billion as the lower limit, even that implies a great data explosion. So I mean, the number of desktops has been increasing, laptops, devices, smart devices, and also IoT devices. So the data explosion is only going to become bigger in the future. So with that regard, can you speak a bit about the data platform and the type of analytics that will be used to handle this enormous data? Is the use of AI inevitable, and how can AI enrich this data ecosystem?
I think there are multiple parts to it, but very important that, just to get again another picture of how many devices, 125 plus devices are getting added every second. We talk about people's birth, but now we're talking about devices entering into the internet. 125 plus devices per second are getting added. And I gave a projections of, based on the report, 75 billion devices by 2025. Now, that 75 billion devices are going to create about 75 zettabyte of data cumulative way. And just to be clear, 1 zettabyte means 10 to the power 21 bytes, 10 to the power 21 bytes. So 75 billion devices, cumulative 75 zettabyte of data by 2025, plus minus, doesn't matter, but that's a huge amount of data. Now, that means you need to have a data platform, as you said. So what do we do there? All the sensors that are producing data, there is always a chance of, same data being kind of duplicated in the systems and from many sources that are coming. So we talk about SSOT, single source of truth. How do you define that? Once that is there, then effectively, that becomes my premise to build the data platform. From the sensors, the data comes to the cloud platform because my devices are going to be connected to the cloud for remote operations, either directly or through an hub, right? But doesn't matter, they're connected. And this data platform is part of that cloud platform. So we are going to have these data ingestions. Now you can have an MQTT protocol or an HTTP protocol. From the sensors, the data comes to the cloud in one form or the other through the devices or other paths. Once that happens, IoT is nothing but an event, right? Something is getting turned on, turned off, dimmed. It's an event. So either you can get that information directly or you can subscribe. It's called pub-sub model, publishing and subscribing. Whenever it happens, you publish. When I need to know, I take it. So that's one part. Once that happens, it goes into stream processing. It can be a batch data you want to process, or it can be a real-time analytics that you need to do and real-time data usage. And then you have to store. When you store, the question comes of how much reliability you need. You have to spend money for that if you want a high reliable data platform. And how much response time, when you ask for a query, how quickly would you like to get the response? So depending on that, you can define the storage. Cassandra, DynamoDB, these are some elements that are there. And then finally, you derive those information, do some processing, and make some business analytics. We have some dashboards and presentation window through which people can take the analytics. You asked for data being used for the analytics. So that's how people take it. Now, what's the purpose of it? That's the other part of the question. See, that data analytics, when I can do various ways with this data. Now, who is benefiting? It can be an user. As an user, I want to know how often am I using this device or that device? What is my usage pattern? How much energy am I consuming? I want to know because I want to be a better user. Therefore, I can provide you with a set of analytics from that platform. Or it can be an input to the developers. For example, in IoT devices, some of the devices are voice enabled, right? So have you you know, when you could not detect my utterance, why you could not do it. There could be an analysis of what kind of utterances the system is not able to detect. And therefore, you can improve the system, the voice assistant. People, is it an ASR issue, NLU issue? They can go into details and develop. And then more importantly, for a business, because IoT is not just about a technology, it is about a business building. So therefore, there has to be a great set of decision making. So that's where you provide to the executives a dashboard by saying, okay, whenever people use this, they also use this device. Or I'm not able to put all these devices in locked in fashion. So there could be many such observations and deeper insights from that data analytics that helps company to launch new services, new products, enhance the present services. It can be anything for that matter for a company. So this is how we contemplate of a data platform and its usage. And you talked about AI. So the data intelligence, these final analytics that you provide, it has that data intelligence. There are other forms of AI, and maybe I'll talk, maybe later in other context. But the data intelligence is a form of an AI, and this helps significantly in different decision making, improving system, or giving user experience in a big way.
Yes, thank you for that. I mean, I never imagined the IoT thing to be so complex and rich, because we always think of IoT as just one small device sitting there, but there is so much happening around it and behind it. So, and plus also, I mean, the way you're saying the devices are mushrooming, per second we have to count how many devices we are getting. So, but I think as far as the common consumer is concerned, he would be more interested in the smart home aspect, because thanks to the COVID crisis and the pandemic, we are working from home more and more, and the smart home is getting even more at the center stage. So all the major players are readying their strategies. So maybe you can speak a bit about the Samsung IoT platform, your smart things for the smart home.
Yeah, that's a good point. And we have been working, and with my corporate responsibility, I've been responsible for global IoT platform, part of it, particularly in the data and few services context. And today, the SmartThings platform has already connected closer to 200 million, a little short, but almost there, with the 200 million devices approximately connected. Now, what are these devices? I gave the example in the consumer device context. So in a home, we can have a smart living room or smart kitchen or the home itself. Now, if you have a TV and the smart TV and the speaker and a vacuum cleaner, these are in the living room. And then in the kitchen, you can have the oven and the fridge and the dishwasher. They could talk, or all of them could talk, but there might be more affinity in one segment of it, right? So each of these devices, you asked the previous question on the AI, each of these devices are becoming more and more intelligent. For example, today's vacuum cleaner, and in this pandemic time, we saw that vacuum cleaner sales went up because people like us have to otherwise clean it up when we were fully in lockdown mode. And so that those sales are up. And at the same time, it's very important to add features. And it's interesting features, because a vacuum cleaner, when you go out, it can take the cleaning operations, not necessarily, when you are there to bother you, because nobody is there and it can do its job. So therefore, it has to know when have you gone out and when are you coming back? When is the time to get charging? If at home something else is smoking, can it detect? Because it's nothing about the device, it's sitting there and can have some sensors to smell, right? So there are intelligence that we are building, whether it is an AC, whether it is a dishwasher, whether it is a fridge. So that's how the whole proliferation is happening. But also, I think the other side of it, I give an example in the mobility segment. You can have your phone and watch connected, mobile and TV, mobile and PCs connected, a small office, home office. It can be a seamless operations. Car, we have done a feature in which a connected car, so car connectivity to home. Even if I have forgotten to turn off my geyser at home, even if you have left your home, you could give that command through SmartThings app and can switch it off. So these are kind of applications that we are looking into. And AI is kind of embedded, because IoT is about if there is a condition, then something should happen. And that something happening is certain switching on, off, dimming, that's a kind of operation. But the if part can be intelligent, right? If I say, when I wake up, turn on, coffee machine, or when I go out, turn off the geyser, right? So therefore, that conditions of finding whether I'm sleeping, or if there is a smart surveillance, can it detect whether there is a delivery boy, or is it a cat, or is it an intruder? There is a difference, and your action should be very different in terms of even notification. So these are examples and use cases. Some are today fitting for completely working family. Nobody's at home. In some cases, elderly is at home. Some cases, maybe one or two people living there, and they will pick up their specific cases to apply. So I tried to give you some examples of what our approximately 200 million devices that are connected, how people are using it.
Yeah, thank you for that overview. I mean, I think the future is already here now. I mean, I remember when I entered journalism, they used to keep talking of, smart home is coming. But I think it is finally here, and we have all started availing its services. So that was about the smart home. I also wanted to ask about the enterprise, and especially looking also at the Indian scenario. Which are the verticals which will see an adoption of these IoT devices? And what about IoT services?
Yeah, it's a great question. And see, before even IoT is coming, manufacturing industry has been using it. They didn't call it IoT, but they have been doing that, right? The practice of IoT was kind of there. So I see smart manufacturing, they are adopting heavily. And logistics warehouse in this pandemic time, this whole online and omni-channel management, I think that segment has also done fairly well in terms of adopting IoT. Where it's on the other spectrum, where it's hard to use a little bit, is the agriculture kind of things, because too many unknowns. You have to have cost-effective solutions of sensors, and it's open space, bigger space. Where do you put it? Weather predictions is difficult. So too many variables that are so open that it's hard to do something very meaningful, value adding. So there are some point-to-point solutions that detect this sensor and get that point right. But the human intervention is very, very important in such segment, at least as of now. And then in between the two sides of the spectrum, you have things where a lot of initiatives have been taken. One from the government, and in India context, we talked about smart city. We are yet to get there, but some movements are happening. So on one hand, the smart city, waste management and traffic management and things like that, that could be streamlined. On the other hand, the builders and owners, the smart home, smart building, this is not a government space. Mostly it is a private space. So that's where also things have started happening parallelly. And you asked the question, wow, are we progressing in India? So in India, we have recently government, TSDSI and TEC, Telecom Engineering Center, adopted this IoT standard. There is a global European standard called 1M2M that has been adopted for smart city broadly. And for smart home and building, I created this India chapter for OCF, Open Connectivity Foundation. So I'm chairing that, and we are propagating through that the connectivity at home and building. And recently in that standard, the interoperability between 1M, 2M, and this is also documented in Indian standard, both of them, that open connectivity foundations for home and building could connect to 1M, 2M. And recently we have demonstrated that between the two bodies. So I think there is good progress on this interoperability standards, which kind of products will fit, and that guidance was absolutely necessary. And just to give you an example where we would like to have connections, like for example, in cities, air quality measurement, right? This will be done by the city. I don't need to do it at home. And I will pull that data from the city, from 1M, 2M to OCF at home, and maybe turn on my air purifier if the quality is not up to the mark. Now you can set the threshold, but you can get it operating. And there are other examples of opposite sides also that you could pull from home and use it in the city. So this is how we are contemplating, we are progressing into this activity. It's going to take some time, but it has been a good effort between Samsung, OCF, 1M, 2M, TSDSI, IIIT Hyderabad, like we created this, and I'm hoping to build further on that.
Okay. So anyway, thank you for that overview. I'd like to end with just one question, one big idea related to IoTs in the coming decade. What do you think is the one big idea that will either change or define IoT?
I think, one thing that is coming is the 5G is, the advent of 5G, and there is a connections of IoT to that, although both are distinct things. This is for a long range communication. This is much more short range. But even fourth generation systems, LTE had got narrowband IoT, smaller data. So that roadmap has been paved. But in 5G, one of the beauty is it can give very high throughput. It has a latency that is checked much less. So therefore you can have interactive system and machine communication. All these IoT could be connected in a nice, beautiful way. So one example, when we launched 5G in Korea, the first example before even consumer segment was the enterprise in manufacturing. What happened is we started looking into the spare parts building of automotive production. And if there is a defect while making it, instead of making the full product and then detecting it is defective, the camera and the interactivity I talked about, low latency, that could detect with a high resolutions, and you could check that parts of the components then and there itself rather than building the whole product. So this is one example that I wanted to share in that context. So the 5G and IoT together can make even big impact locally as well as very remote way.
So Dr. Dey, I'd like to thank you for your views. That was a very detailed overview of the IoT industry, and it is very important, and I think it's going to become really big, and all of us will hear more of it in the 2020s. So I'd really thank you for your insights on the issue.
Yes, thank you very much. We are working on the interoperability, making sure the IoT systems are secure and the data that we handle remains private, and we are able to manage it nicely. With that, we hope to have a great IoT system. Thank you again for the invite.
Thank you. Thank you so much.